Exercise is one of the things that most children practice all over the world. Hello everyone, welcome back to another segment into this episode. Let's dive into African lady's daughter raised with her father over there in the Chinese environment. For at first, so many think that Feier will not be able to withstand the condition, or will not be able to stay without a mom over there in the Chinese environment. At first we were talking about Dodo returning back to Africa or going back to the Chinese environment. Why Feier, returning back to the Chinese environment. They have to do the swapping, and we had a lot of questions and so many comments coming in, and so many persons wants to know if the dad is returning back to Africa, and why is that the mom is not back to the Chinese environment. If you check several occasions, we have mentioned it, we've cleared it, and we've cleared the hair. And the last clip we heard, I think African lady was in a good ground. I said in a good ground. Well, we just pray that everything works out so well. You could remember in our last clip where she was doing her job for a friend, and she stood as a translator between the Africans and to the Chinese people over there in the African environment in Tanzania. Yes, it's a friend that was, staying there. Most times you see her with Dodo going there to spend their time or their days, some time with her. And she was doing the work perfectly, and she was being getting paid over there. But right now, our friend, had returned back to the Chinese environment. I look somehow as if things wasn't that going so smoothly. So the last clip we saw, some were even shocked that why is she taking in some substance or whatever she was taking in just to relieve her stress and all of that. For she would just want to pass her time. And so many people like she's missing her husband. That's why she had to do that. Well, that is by the way. And some other person that wouldn't have put that into viewers. Well, what would you want us to do? Well, setting ground, we often bring out the best and often bring out the real situation, because so many persons wants to know what's happening. So we just believe and hope that African lady will be able to maneuver this time, and the time where she has not been on a good ground working. Why in over there in the Tanzania environment, so we believe that she'll find something more meaningful into it. Well, that is by the way, we come to gear into the Chinese environment. We have here Felista friend doing the perfect job to our Feier. She's looking so cute, she's looking so smart, and in fact, what even triggered us the most, she's taking responsibility at home in terms of cleaning the house, helping out in cooking. And even one thing I want to appreciate Felista friend is for her anytime she's cooking or doing some rigorous work, she has certain works to for her to do. For some person would think that is stress, but we are saying she's doing a perfect job for helping out and letting the child to know that this is what you would do, and this is how you would do it, and this is how you have to carry out this function: to clean up the house, to prepare meal, and also to go fetch vegetables in the garden. You see, whatever thing they're doing, they are carrying the children along, and that will make the children to understand the system, to understand this is what we ought to do and that we need to do. Well, that is a big one to Felista friend for doing a perfect job over there in the Chinese environment. Now let's come to Felista. Many persons were like, they don't they have a kind of school in the Chinese environment? Don't they have a kind of class where the children will be enrolled also to learn some certain language, like in terms of the Chinese language and all of that? They actually have that. But I think though it has like a kind of grade. The system in the Chinese environment is far different from other countries. Each countries have their norms and their do's and don'ts, and you couldn't or you can't like first enforce a kind of practice or a practice where it's not being practiced in a certain environment or in a certain state, and then you find yourself inputting it or practicing or trying to inculcate such into such individuals. I think they have rules and regulation guiding them, and that's still how to follow. Well, you can note that Feier, he's learning so fast, and she's mingling, associating herself or mingling with other children. She'll be able to understand the Chinese language more fast and more perfectly well. All right, coming down to our Chinese grandpapa, you know that he's doing pretty well. He's doing pretty cool. Under the care of his friend, he has understood that Felicia will be back in the next time, and apart from that, he had to enjoy and take care of himself. Life goes on even when things sometimes comes in a negative form or in a positive form. Life must go on. Yeah, life must go on. At this point, you see our Chinese grandpapa enjoying the special being made by his friend, and you know that he's doing well and under the care of his friend, and he had to enjoy himself, right? Don't you think so? All right, this is shall be wrapping up today's episode, and I hope you liked today's package. Please do stay tuned and stay blessed, and always remember the lovelies. Stay cool for now. Bye for now.